Hello everyone and welcome to today's webinar. My name is Caoimhe Maloney. I'm the Events Manager with Limerick Chamber. So thank you so much for taking the time to join us today. I'll just go through some housekeeping before we begin. As you can see, I've populated a little message into the chat feature there, so please feel free to introduce yourselves, or you can share your socials there as well. If you have any questions throughout the session, you can populate the chat feature or the Q&A feature, which is located on the toolbar at the bottom of your screens. And I'll pose any questions you have to both Laura and Aoife at the end of today's session. Lastly, we are recording this session, so all of our videos are populated there on the Limerick Chamber YouTube page and also hosted on our limerickchamber.ie website. So if you want to catch out any of our webinars like today's session, you can find them there. Lastly, Limerick Chamber is relaunching our member magazine. It's called Chamber Connects, and we're asking all members to log into their member information centre to update their details, as your company name, website and phone number will feature in the member directory. We also have advert and editorial places available as well. So without further ado, I'd like to introduce our first speaker today. So Laura Ryan, Head of Marketing and Communications at Limerick City and County Council. Laura, I'll hand it over to you.
Great, thanks very much, Caoimhe, and good morning, everybody. Aoife and I are delighted to be here with you today, and we're just going to go through the agenda briefly. So what we're planning first is we're going to give you an overview and development of Brand Limerick. Then Aoife is going to take you through practical ways on how you can make the most of Brand Limerick for your business. We're going to give you a little overview of current projects that we're involved in to promote Limerick. And finally, hopefully we'll have time for some questions and answers at the beginning. So we can kick off. So back in August 2018, we began the journey to create an ambitious brand to promote Limerick nationally and internationally. And we appointed M&C Saatchi, one of the world's most recognised global brand companies, to help us do this. So we had already launched Limerick.ie, which is the official guide to Limerick to curate Limerick's reputation and offering online. And it was the natural next step to establish a place brand for Limerick. Because as you all know, in Limerick, we had started in a place that was it wasn't simply neutral, it was quite negative. And our brand vacuum was filled by this outdated domestic perception of Limerick, and we lacked a defining positioning really that could unseat this. So we wanted to assert our place in Ireland, in the world, and make ourselves relevant for the future. And we knew that if we could articulate this sharply, then we had a powerful story to tell. So here's a short video from our launch in January last year, which I think articulates this.
At the edge of the Shannon, where the river meets the ocean, is a city on an island, a castle town that stood looking out for 1,000 years, embracing 1,000 more.
I think Limerick has an edge over other cities and counties in Ireland. It's in this amazing sweet spot.
There's some great opportunities in Limerick, and I think as a county we're only going to get better.
For me personally, I see Limerick as a massive city with so much potential.
I think we have a progressive mindset here. We just need to put that into action and try to work towards making Limerick the best place it can be.
I think Limerick, without a doubt, the most special place in the entire country.
Now it's time to tell the world about Limerick, Europe's closest link to North America, where the economic and emotional ties to the EU are stronger than ever, where our edge has been sharpened as much by harsh Atlantic winds as by the tough trials of history, and where the embrace of millennia of European culture is warm and enduring, where you can open a business that thrives at the cutting edge, or one that embraces centuries of tradition. Home to international icons, and to the everyday heroes that make our city and our county what it is. This is our Limerick, where edge meets embrace.
So this is our core proposition and brand, Limerick Atlantic Edge European Embrace. And this is really showcasing how Limerick offers energy, excitement, grit, and really limitless possibilities from our Atlantic location on the west coast of Ireland, combined with the timeless, creative and hospitable character of Europe. So what we want in our messaging is to echo this duality. So it's quite, we can focus on the literal, or we can make it more multifaceted. So for business, it's around our competitive edge as the European city closest to North America than any other. And obviously post-Brexit, we offer very cost-effective and unconstrained access to the European Union. For tourism, we're a historic city founded by the Vikings and a gateway city to Ireland's hottest tourism property, the Wild Atlantic Way. For education, we all know about our wonderful globally ranked university and colleges with internationally respected accreditations. And of course, for our citizens, underpinning it all is Limerick's spirit, a balance of steely drive and warmth. So this is really a slide when we were trying to really define here, what is Limerick's personality? And if Limerick was a person, what would it be? And you can see there in the right, the kind of personality that we have. We're very warm, creative, humble people. And also as well, but you know, we're kind of no nonsense in Limerick. We have that took us a good while. We spent around 18 months with people trying to work out what exactly we were, what our promise was, what our purpose was. And I think the piece there on the left around purpose is what we really want is to be the catalyst for the ongoing transformation of Limerick into a globally recognised destination. So this is a video of the visual inspiration that we had for our brand. So obviously it came from Limerick itself. The Treacy Stone in the heart of our city is a symbol of our resilience, grit and international significance. And this is a 3D model which we mapped the limestone of the Treacy Stone and the textures of it. And we used the methods from the city's printmaking heritage to bring this into our design. So you can see there the limestone going through it. Obviously our colours as well came from the blues of the Atlantic and our tidal River Shannon, and the green verdant countryside of Limerick, which is of course our county colour as well. So we're really, really happy with the way our brand looks and feels. So we took a highly collaborative approach when we were designing it. We met and worked with multiple stakeholders throughout the county. We did a lot of workshops with key audiences to unlock insight, and we brought students, of course, from our award-winning Limerick School of Art and Design into the process. So our brand was developed with the international expertise of M&C Saatchi, but it was powered by homegrown Limerick talent, insight and creativity. So this is our Limerick icon as well, and this is a little versatile tool that you can use across all your marketing and communications. It was important to us that the Limerick brand is dynamic, that it's easy to adopt. And we developed this icon, which is a really flexible and a customizable asset. So it's a contraction really of the L and the K of Limerick to form this simple shape, which allows everybody to use it really to make it their own. And it's also really merchandisable. So, you know, we've been using this as a frame to put images in, for design across signage, and to inspire kind of art and digital content creation as well. So it's been very handy for us. So we launched just before COVID hit us in January 2020. We launched in Limerick and in New York, and we had a really successful launch in Limerick. You know, it was the headline story news on Morning Ireland, 6-1 News, Virgin Media. We also sent goodie boxes of Limerick merchandise to Limerick journalists in the national media and well-known Limerick personalities as well. So everybody got behind it, and Limerick was trending across social media, #1 that day as well. So with all these strong strategic partnerships in place, we developed a major multi-market campaign which brought to life Limerick's unique combinations of edge and embrace, while at the same time showcasing all the various attractions that Limerick offers for our different audiences. I love this image. This is Peter Ward from the Milk Market, and I think it really epitomises the warmth of Limerick. We also featured local heroes, and these are people who we feel exemplify our edge and embrace and who could help us bring our story to life. So in the top left there, that's Ross Nagel, that's the tattooist. Michael Tweedy in the top right there, who's the head chef at Adair Manor. Nora Patton, who is training to become Ireland's first astronaut. And Edward Life Sciences' Nathan Tenzer there, who of course has made Limerick his home. So our key messaging, we have 3 key messaging really for our main audiences, and the invest brand messaging is all around what a highly connected destination we are, as close to the US as the 25 states in the European Union. Very young, talented and English speaking. Obviously 50% of our graduates, our population in Limerick is under 35, and we produce 20,000 highly skilled graduates a year. I think we've all seen over the last 12 months, particularly the quality of life and the work-life balance that Limerick offers, as opposed to living in the centre of Dublin. And also we are home to some of the world's most innovative businesses as well. Our tourism brand messaging is all around the gateway to the Wild Atlantic Way, and Limerick will be launched shortly as a gateway city to the Wild Atlantic Way. Our Limerick Greenway is also opening this summer. We have our greatest natural asset in our River Shannon and all the water-based activities that offers, and Food and Friends, who are a key market for us as well. Limerick offers a really welcoming environment to that segment. Also, from our education brand messaging, we have such fantastic academic excellence in Limerick with the skills and knowledge ambition here in the Midwest. 25,000 students. We have a very accessible, welcoming, walkable city, which is very attractive to international students. And also we have excellent employment opportunities locally with an eye to the US and across the EU. And Limerick is, of course, a very scenic, sociable place to study here. So this is, I suppose, our brand in the family of other international brands. You can see up above it there, a lot of them internationally in the UK and in Amsterdam and Tampere, and below you have Dublin, Waterford, Liverpool, Cork, Manchester and Barcelona. And we may be a little bit biased, but we feel our brand is the most striking of all of them. And we're absolutely delighted with how it looks and feels and how it's being rolled out. But this is where you come in, and we would love you to be involved with helping us roll out the brand. So without further ado, what I'm going to do is pass you over to my colleague Aoife. And I'm just going to grant her access so she can take you through how more practical ways of how you can use Brand Limerick in your business.
Thanks so much, Laura. So yes, I am indeed going to be talking through some of the very many ways that you can use the brand in your own business, in your own communications, and just little, I suppose, easy ways to adopt it in your everyday life as well. So Brand Limerick really does quite a lot, as you can see from Laura's presentation. It does a lot with relatively little. When you boil it down, it's 5 words, but those 5 words do a huge amount. So I guess they have to, because they represent, I suppose, a real range of rich and varied stories across a number of different sectors. And because it's an umbrella brand, it really has to work for all of those sectors equally well. So it needs to work just as well for tourism as it does for FDI, as it does for education, as it does for our local businesses and our local community and citizens as well. So while Limerick City and County Council obviously spearheaded the development of this brand, it's really important to note that it actually belongs to everybody right across Limerick. So it's your brand just as much as it's our brand. And ultimately, I suppose we need everybody, for it to be effective, we need everybody to start thinking about how it can actually align with your business and how you can adopt it and bring it on board and make it work for you. So that's, I suppose, where you come into it. And I can't stress enough that when you embrace the brand through your communications, or like I said, just through, I suppose, easy everyday ways of using the brand, you're not only helping to strengthen your own business, but also the brand and our reputation, both nationally and internationally. And again, it's kind of important to remember that the more often the brand is used, the more synonymous with Limerick it will become. And something there that I heard just the other day, consistency builds trust and trust builds loyalty. So I think that's a really good one to kind of remember when we're thinking about the brand and rolling it out as far and wide as you possibly can. So as I said, there's loads of different ways that you can actually use the brand, and we've so many resources available to you as business owners and operators to help you to actually implement it into your communications. And like that, we're always on hand as well. If ever you need any advice or direction or guidance in that respect, please give us a call. Our email address is brand@limerick.ie, an easy one to remember. So you can just drop us a note if there's anything that you need us to go through with you. But all our resources are always on limerick.ie as well, if you need any of those. But I think the first place that I'm going to start this morning is if you're actually planning on incorporating the brand into your own promotional communications. And we've developed very specific guidelines around this. So we do have specific brand guidelines, and we have specific brand toolkit available to you. So you're very welcome to use those. We've also developed 3 different levels of use. So they would be our gold, our silver, and our bronze. I'm going to run through them with you very quickly now. And they really speak to, I suppose, the rational aspects of the brand. And when I say rational, that's kind of speaking to the location of Limerick, and then also the emotional. So again, kind of tapping into what Laura was mentioning there earlier about the personality of the brand and the character of the brand. That's really associated with Limerick. So as I said, the first one that we have, the first level of use is the gold level, which refers to, I suppose, like explicit full usage of the brand. So like that, if you wanted to use the words Atlantic, Edge, European, or Embrace in your communications, and also the positioning and how it's understood, and also using the actual visual identity. So using the actual brand mark in your communications, or the strapline, of course, that goes with it too. So the second level of use then is silver, and this, I suppose, involves tapping into the spirit of Limerick. So not necessarily using the brand mark, and this could be for a number of different reasons. It might be a case that they're just doesn't make sense perhaps to use it in a particular context, or if it's a case that there just isn't space, and things like Twitter, for example, where brevity is everything, and you wouldn't have the opportunity to use it. So I suppose just using attributes of the brand can actually help position Limerick just as well and consistently, even without applying the brand mark. And that's an important one to note. So again, this is really about tapping into that duality that Laura was speaking about. So again, going back to that relationship between kind of what's edgy and then kind of, I suppose, the things that kind of maybe a bit warmer and make you kind of feel more embraced. Are indeed elements that are kind of tap into the location. So, things that are connected to either the Shannon or the Atlantic are indeed to that European dimension as well. And it's important to remember that the brand is actually really flexible. It's very open, but it does provide a really good way to discipline your communication so that they echo as strongly what others across Limerick are doing as well. So like that, it just gives that bit of uniformity and that bit of consistency that we're all striving for. So these are just a couple of visual samples or examples, I guess, of how you might actually incorporate that silver level into your branding. The first is obviously a mountain biker, slightly edgier, I guess, sport. They're out in Ballyhowra Mountains, and you can see there the beautiful glow of the kind of warmth and inviting log cabin that's there as well. And then the second image, obviously a loving couple in an embrace set against the backdrop of our street art, that little kind of, I suppose, edgy nod there. So again, trying to tap into that duality of the brand very much so in a visual manner. So the third level of use then, as I mentioned, is the bronze level. An Atlantic, Edge, European, Embrace really sums up an attitude. So it's positive, it's helpful, it's outgoing, it's a little bit unexpected, and it's playful. And I suppose Limerick really is a place that offers advantages, and the brand really seeks to embody that same attitude as well. So I guess when you're thinking about what your own attitude as a business is and how it aligns with the brand's attitude, it can really help to ask yourself a couple of questions. So what gives us our edge would be one, and then what brings us closer to those that we serve. And just a bronze example here by way of a visual. So this is a double-sided piece that we would have distributed to nearly 200,000 residents across Limerick as part of our Shop Local campaign during the first lockdown. And like that, on one side of it, we had a letter really urging our residents to change their shopping habits and to start shopping local from our local businesses. And then on the other side, a really nice little piece there, you know, I suppose kind of highlighting all the different products and services that are available locally to Limerick residents that kids in the community could actually colour in and then stick up on their windows as well. So that was just a nice little piece, I suppose, kind of highlighting the attitude of the brand for you. So as I said, I suppose aside from, you know, incorporating the brand into your own communications, be it through using the brand mark or using the attitude or the spirit of the brand, there's some really quick wins and quick, easy ways that you can adopt it into your everyday life. And the first, I guess, is to wear the Limerick pin badge, and I suppose urge and encourage all your own staff and colleagues and contacts to do so as well. I don't know if you can actually see that on the screen there, but we have these little beautiful little pin badges, and we can make them available to you and your staff as well. So just let us know. But like that, it does show pride in your city. It shows pride in your county as well. So that's a really nice, easy way that you can actually start using the brand, I guess. The second then is to sign off with pride. And is it a case that you can actually adopt the brand into your own sign-offs on your emails, for example? Or is it maybe perhaps a case that you could put Limerick Edge Embrace as your SSID in your Wi-Fi, for example? Like there's just loads of little kind of creative, interesting ways that you can adopt it into your everyday lives, as I said. So get creative with your branding, and we've seen some really lovely examples of this over the last year. Teresa G. Beer, for example, came up with these fabulous Edge and Embrace beers. We had Limerick Chocolate Shop down in the Milk Market create Edge and Embrace chocolates, which were fabulous. The Embrace was a salted caramel chocolate, and the Edge was like a lime and seaweed flavour. So like that, really tapping into that Edge and Embrace there. And like that, even our mastheads of our local newspapers have changed on occasion since launch, just to reflect the brand as well, which is really nice. And that really does kind of, I suppose, kind of get the message out even further as well, which is great. So to think in Edge and Embrace is an important one as well. So I suppose we're so famous for the warmth of welcome that we have in Limerick and our friendliness. And I guess it's kind of a question of asking yourself, what do you do in your business that showcases this really nice quality that we have here? It's one thing that kept coming back to us from our research. People kept on saying to us, oh, it's the people that make Limerick. They're really friendly. They're really welcoming. And it's something that, you know, that we really need to start tapping into a bit more than we probably do. We're also especially edgy. So I think we kind of like to do things a little bit differently in Limerick. We're very innovative and we're quite progressive as well. So again, it's to try and think about things like that. It's like how or what do you do differently in your business from other places perhaps? And when you're creating content, to really start thinking about the edginess and the friendliness of your business before posting or tweeting. And that actually brings me to my final one, which is the use of hashtags. And there's obviously some, you know, really, I suppose there's kind of some obvious ones that you would use and could use and should use in your tweets and your posts. And obviously hashtag Limerick is a really good one to use on all of them. But hashtag Limerick Edge and Embrace should really be used on all posts about the brand and any content that you have that really highlights that edge and embrace aspects of Limerick and its offering. Then the hashtag How Limerick is a really nice one too, because it communicates, I suppose, moments that are very distinct to Limerick that I suppose wouldn't really happen anywhere else. It's kind of a case of, oh my God, that's such a Limerick thing to do. How Limerick is that? I suppose in the form of a hashtag. So How Limerick is a really nice one to use where and when you can as well. As I mentioned a little bit earlier, all of our activity pretty much happens across limerick.ie, which is our online platform. And as I said, excuse me, we have all our brand resources on that as well in terms of our toolkit and our guidelines and our logos that are available for you to use and to download. So please feel free to use that. And to contact us at any stage on brand@limerick.ie. We'd be delighted to give you a hand and some guidance through that as well. So I just wanted to run through a couple of our current projects that are just ongoing at the moment, just to show you, I guess, some examples in action of where we are. with rolling out of the brand. And the first is in the sector of, I suppose, investment and business. So just last week we launched our Limerick Economic Monitor, which is obviously the biannual report that we work collaboratively with EY on. And the good news is that we performed relatively well in comparison to other counties during lockdown, which is great. Our Future Cities supplement came out last week in the Irish Times, and we had some really nice editorial, and you can see our lovely ad there to the right of the screen, which we placed in that as well. So that got great coverage too. And we've got 2 further pieces upcoming as well in the New York Times and also the Sunday Business Post over the next couple of months as well. So really advertising and highlighting and showcasing Limerick as a really great place to base your business and to come and invest in. In terms of the tourism sector, we're very, very, very busy at the moment in preparation to launch our Double Your Summer campaign, which we're launching next Thursday, the 3rd of June. And there's so many opportunities for you as business owners to come on board for that as well. So, you know, if you want to give us a shout on that, if we can talk you through any of those, we'd be delighted to do so. And obviously the Limerick Greenway is also launching at the start of July. And like that, we're very busily putting the finishing touches on that and finessing the message and the messaging going out around that. You know, really, I suppose it couldn't come at a better time as well, because I suppose the focus is just so concentrated at the moment on all things outdoors. And this will be a really fabulous asset for Limerick and the surrounding area as well. In terms of the education sector, we're working collaboratively with the 3 higher education institutes at the moment in the production of a really nice asset in terms of a video to really promote Limerick as a top quality student destination. So that's just on the way at the moment. And then finally, in terms of the community side of things, we're working on a really, really lovely project, which is going to be an outdoor photography exhibition. And we've taken the hoarding along Patrick Street and Rutland Street. So we will be putting this beautiful, very edgy, very embracing photography exhibition, I suppose really highlighting some of the great characters around Limerick that exemplify that duality, that edge and embrace. And we're hoping to launch that over the next week or so. So keep your eyes peeled for that one. It'll be a really lovely one. So that is kind of us, I suppose, up to speed as to where we are at the moment. Really happy to answer any questions that you might have. I'm not sure if there's anything in the chat box, but delighted, as I said, if there's anything you'd like us to run through with you.
That was perfect. Thank you so much, Aoife, and fantastic presentation there as well, Laura. The vibe I'm kind of getting from it is that we can really embrace it and make it our own with those campaigns like the Double Your Summer. It's really up to ourselves to kind of come up with initiatives, but kind of go in and tie into what you're trying to achieve. So to keep an eye on the Double Your Summer kind of campaigns, I know we've helped advertise it, but is there anywhere else where businesses can kind of get the information, or is it all there on limerick.ie? And do you have any other campaigns that are coming up that we could probably get involved in?
Yeah, for sure. The Double Your Summer one is a really good one for all businesses to get involved in. I suppose primarily it's a tourism and hospitality campaign, and we're working really closely with Fall to Ireland in terms of its rollout, but it is absolutely open to all sectors to come on board for. The idea behind it, and I suppose the main concept behind it, is that in Limerick you can really, I suppose, get more bang for your buck, and there really is just great value to be had, and you know, there, I suppose, in comparison to other destinations around the country, like we have just such a fabulous offering. Our accommodation stock is, you know, is just top quality, top class. Our attractions and our amenities also as well. So like that, I suppose we really do kind of offer better value for money, and I suppose maybe more generosity in terms of the actual offering and the packaging as well. So that's what we're really trying to communicate in terms of the different offers that will be on our campaign hub, which will be on limerick.ie, and that will be launched, as I said, next Thursday. But there are opportunities for all businesses, as I said, to come on board. A lot of them that we would have at the moment, I guess, will kind of be accommodation offers. But like that, people need things to do when they're here as well. So like that, if retailers wanted to come on board and provide offerings, generally speaking, it tries to tie in that whole kind of idea of double. So like that, it doesn't necessarily mean discounting for sure, but it means that you're providing maybe a little bonus or a little extra that you might, it might be like 2 flakes in your ice cream cone, or I don't know, like that. It could be like 2 grandparents go free if they're coming with their families to a particular attraction or amenity, whatever happens to be. So there absolutely is opportunities available to all our Limerick retailers and our Limerick business operators as well, if they would like to come on board for that.
Perfect. And like you said there with the socials as well, I think we've all been using Pablo Buffer over the last year. So we could use the imaging and the branding there that you have as well to really kind of hone in on those social skills. I know a lot of us have been taking pictures of the bridge whenever the sun is setting. So it does no harm to use those handles as well and just kind of...
Oh, for sure. Yeah. Just like we just need to we need to roll out the message as far and wide as we possibly can. So like everybody has their part to play, and they certainly can do very easily. So it'd be great if more people came on board with it.
Exactly. And we just have a question there from Paul Flannery. He's asked if there's more traction to be gained from the Limerick and Proud campaign, and is there any kind of initiatives that you're hoping to roll out as part of that, or is there any update?
I can take that, Aoife.
Sure.
Yeah, just Limerick and Proud was really successful, particularly after the Forbes article, which I think we're all, it galvanized the people of Limerick across the world. And we did a report actually on that hashtag, and it was incredible when you saw how the Limerick diaspora got behind it. I think we had 8.6 million impressions for that across the world, and particularly that Friday night that the Forbes article came out, Limerick and Proud was just everywhere, trending everywhere. And it just showed the passion and the pride and how proud of the city and county that we all are. And I think there is a place for that. And Aoife and I had discussed, this at the time. There is totally a place for that hashtag to be used for certain initiatives. And perhaps, next week when we unveil our Shaped by Limerick exhibition on the hoardings of the opera site, I think that's a place to use the hashtag Limerick and Proud, as well as Limerick Edge Embrace, because we're featuring 10 different people who've all been shaped in some way by Limerick, and you would be really proud looking at all the things that they've achieved. So I think for certain campaigns, definitely for citizen campaigns, it can be used. Limerick and Proud, that doesn't always work for some international investment type campaigns, because Limerick Edge Embrace is really about the attitude we have in Limerick, whereas Limerick and Proud is more kind of an emotional connection with the place. So it does depend on the campaign. But the 3 that Aoife mentioned, Limerick Edge Embrace, How Limerick, and just using the hashtag Limerick, they're the core ones that we want to roll out and use all the time. And then for certain campaigns, we will use Limerick and Proud the way we'll use Double Your Summer for this summer. So, that's why I think it's handy to kind of keep in touch with us, or keep in touch with our brand pages on limerick.ie. And we're always, we'll always have the most up-to-date hashtags anyway on our social channels on limerick.ie as well.
That's perfect. Thank you so much. Yeah, no, I think everyone, the kind of attitude came out really during that Limerick and Proud campaign, didn't it? No, I think that's everything for today. And thank you so much again. Like I said, this session has been recorded, so we will be sharing it in the coming week with anyone who is registered for the event. But in the meantime, what we'll do is we'll share those links that both Laura and Aoife mentioned if you do want to keep up to date with any branding identification or anything like that. And we'll also share the email address that Aoife mentioned, brand@limerick.ie, if you do have any questions. So on the last point, thank you so much for joining us. And thank you so much to Aoife and Laura for taking us through that. That was fantastic. Thank you very much.
Thanks, Caoimhe.
All right. Have a lovely day now. Thank you.
Bye.